So I'm back here for a follow-up visit with the extraordinary Dr. Mason, and we've got over here David, who is a fellow, and Jackie, who. So we're just at the beginning of our follow-up visit.
So you're doing okay?
Yeah. So I've just finished the my radiation therapy, and in this transition period between going into this next phase of therapy, which includes the ongoing steroid taper.
Right. So you're at 6 milligrams now.
Yes.
Did Dr. Chen give you a steroid tapering schedule?
No, what was suggested to me was going down by 1 milligram per week if the symptoms are.
I think that's fine as long as you're doing okay.
Yes.
It might be a little fast, but I think that's okay. So you're at 6 now.
Yeah.
Why don't you drop it down to 5?
Okay.
And then we'll try to walk it down by 1 milligram per week, which should take you off in a month and a half. Let's see if we can do that. You feel fine.
Yes.
So I think it'd be a reasonable goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll start the maintenance treatments at the end of February, since it should be about a month after the end of your combined modality.
Great.
So you finished the radiation on the 20th, I think.
Yes.
So end of February, the third week of February, we can start the maintenance treatments. So that's at twice the dose, but only for 5 consecutive days.
Great.
So it's really easy. You just take the 5 days in a row and then stop, and then you're good for a month.
Right.
So it's not hard therapy. It does cause a little bit of queasiness in the first day or two, so make sure you've got your anti-nausea medicine.
Yeah.
But otherwise it should be okay. So we'll put the order set in for that today, so we can get that lined up for you, so it's ready to go when you're ready to go. Okay?
Great.
And
what date would I be?
well, there's no magic to it. About a month after finishing your combined modality. So if you finished on the 20th, then so 1, 2, 3, 4 it would be the 17th. I'd recommend you do it Monday to Friday, just because it's easier to remember the 5 days that way.
Great.
So why don't you start on the 22nd of February?
Great.
Okay. So starting the 22nd of February, just take it to 22nd through the 26th.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay. So then I'll take that. Then I'd like to get another MRI sometime around the same time, just to see how things look.
Great. Now, when I spoke to Dr. Barnett yesterday, she prepped me for something. She said, understand, because I was pinning a lot of hope on that first MRI. She mentioned what can happen is pseudo progression.
So as I was telling David as we're walking in, my practice style is I like to get an MRI at about that point, but I take it with a huge grain of salt because sometimes it looks worse.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean your tumor is getting worse. It's very, very rare actually for the tumors to actually get worse during the combined modality therapy. In a fundamental sense, but sometimes because of inflammation and so forth, the scan can look a little bit worse. Some oncologists don't look at all right now, and they wait a couple more months. I just like to get a scan just so I know what everything else looks like, and then we'll probably pay more attention though, from a therapy perspective, to what we see a couple months from now than we will right now. I like a time point now when we start the maintenance treatments. But the next one, which will be around April, May, will be probably more meaningful in terms of how much benefit have you derived from the therapy, because that's when we really want to see it going into remission.
Beautiful. So that is just huge, because and I've been reading that there may be some indication that even if you had pseudo progression, that might even be a good prognostic marker.
Oh, it's a lot of inflammation and so forth. Treatment's having an effect, in other words. Where are you with Optune?
I can start any time.
Okay.
I spoke, Dr. Barnett said they were even looking at concurrent trials with radiation therapy.
That's true.
So she said as soon as I would like.
Okay, good. So I'll let you and Dr. Barnett do that. From my perspective, start whenever.
Yes, okay, great.
So we'll taper your steroids. You're not on Bactrim, are you?
No.
No, we didn't do that because you're concerned about the microbiome, which is perfectly fine. But all the more reason why I'd like to get you off the steroids. For obvious reasons you and I understand. And then Dr. Guarneri sent us a bunch of labs and so forth this morning. And I know you're interested in metformin.
Very interested. So, and my thinking on that is, first of all, before this started, I looked like I was tipping into insulin resistance. So my hemoglobin A1C was 5.7, and I had a number of elevated readings. And now I know I'm on steroids, but I've also made just radical. I've gone completely off sugar. So I'm trying, my hardest to do a ketogenic diet, and what I'm seeing over here is, on those labs, it's still my hemoglobin A1C is at the upper end of normal, which is averaging blood sugars of 111.
Yeah.
So I'm very concerned that I'm actually feeding, the tumor-associated macrophages. That's actually, part of this gamish. And this review, even though thank you for, this, and David, there was there's a trend towards survival, even though it's not statistically significant. But I love this idea, just psychologically, that Optune has a multimodal effect on cancer cell division. Plus, metformin has this compelling multimodal effect. So I feel that if we're attacking this from this idea, I'm understanding there's safety concerns but I think if there's potential efficacy, and convenience.
So I understand, and I'm somewhat familiar with the literature from another patient and another disease, but I understand the concepts. I won't object to giving you metformin. What I would say though is, particularly since you're on a ketogenic diet, let's walk the dose up rather than jumping the dose up, just because I'm not sure what's going to happen in that scenario, because you're on a tapering dose of steroids, you're cutting sugar out of your diet, you're ketogenic, and we add the metformin at a couple grams, it makes me nervous. So let's just walk the dose up a bit, okay? And just make sure that metabolically you're doing okay, you're tolerating it, you don't have side effects from it, etc. Plus, there's some interaction with the temozolomide in terms of efficacy. It may increase it, which is great.
Yes.
But I want to make sure your blood counts are okay. Normally, with temozolomide, the blood counts are not an issue for most patients. I've seen exceptions though. And so I'll probably want to check your blood counts mid-cycle, at least initially. Usually I just check once a cycle, but in your case I'd like to check it every 14 days just to know that your neutrophils and platelets and so forth are perfectly okay.
I love, so
they should be okay on the maintenance. They really shouldn't go down.
So I will nuance this. For me, pushing the ketogenic diet, it's actually challenging. Just because I look Sue, cooks such amazing meal. So what I would actually, by being on metformin, I don't have to be as aggressive with a ketogenic diet, and so that would bring more joy into my life. That dimension alone, and I know that when I'm titrating down the steroids, I might have to watch for a little bit more hypoglycemia. So I've got an ability to check my daily blood sugars as we're going down on the titer, and we'll be hypervigilant. But I love the idea of now. Would we be taking the long acting, the glucophage, or the twice a day? I mean, I'm taking drugs. I've got a Mediset.
Probably twice a day, I think.
Okay. Do you want? So we have some flex. So
gives us a more flexibility.
So we start out with 500 BID, and then
I'm fine with that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. And otherwise, your health is good. Nothing else going on.
Well, I mean, I'm as healthy as I've ever been. You'd think I'm otherwise.
Good.
Oh yeah.
We saw that he gained more weight.
Yeah, I've gained probably from the bottom of where I was. At some point, I've gained 10 pounds.
That's the steroids.
Yeah, that's the steroids, and my wife's just like luscious cooking. And so mostly what I have right now is some of the effects of the radiation therapy.
Yeah.
I'm still functioning at a very high level, but I do feel a sense of spaciness. And
that'll improve. That'll improve.
Good.
All right. So we're going to recheck labs. I'll need another CBC and a CMP before you start. So I'll put the order set in so we can get the medication geared up. But before you actually start the maintenance, I want to make sure we have a contemporary CBC and chemical
Okay,
down, just to be 100% safe. Because your counts could go down from the combined modalities. They do a little bit. We'll do the metformin. You're going to work on the Optune device. Get that going whenever you want to get it going with Dr. Barnett. We'll get an MRI understanding that it could look great, or it might even look a little worse, but it'll give me something to look at in a couple months. And you're doing fine.
Yeah,
You're doing fine.
and I'm so grateful for your care. Like
Very welcome.
it's just, and I'm so delighted that you've had a chance to connect with Mimi
Yes,
and
me too.
coordinate
Yeah.
care. It's
Mimi and I go back a long way.
yeah,
A
and
long way.
Dr. Guarneri is just extraordinary, and she founded the Center for Integrative Medicine over here at Scripps.
Okay, so then we'll set up return visits and get all that stuff done. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
wonderful.
All right.
Okay.
Call me.